Hey, this is Dr. D, coming at you from Gemini AD Studios in Johannesburg. I am the vocalist for South African industrialized thrash metal band CHAOS Doctrine. Today I'll be sharing with you my 4 most influential albums. These are not my 4 favorite albums. I really focused on the ones that had the biggest influence on me as a musician in particular, but also as a fan of rock and metal music in general. I was first exposed to these a long time ago, but they are still frequent in my playlists today. Before I start, I should say, firstly, this was incredibly hard. Boiling down over 30 years of being obsessed with music is almost impossible. Secondly, even if you know me personally, there will be surprises in here for you, given what CHAOS Doctrine sounds like. And if you don't know, you should really go find out. So, on the screen right now, number 1, More Than an Album. This is Pink Floyd's 1979 masterpiece and their 1982 mindfuck called The Wall. I was exposed to the album and the movie at a very young age, and it left very deep impressions on me, maybe scars, I don't know. My brother had it taped, so yes, taped, on a tape from a vinyl record, and he played it incessantly. The sound on the tape even had the sound of the needle hitting the record, so that's like burnt into my brain from like 1990, 1991, right? In terms of influence in my way of thinking about and appreciating music and the darkness that it can conjure, I think this is unparalleled. Not to mention, it is majestic in terms of songwriting, in terms of lyrical content, and fucking David Gilmour. So, I don't know if you can see this. I have the hammers on my arm, and if you haven't listened to this album and you haven't watched the movie, I think I should say, what the actual fuck. Here's number 2, a little something else. I remember being quite young. Somebody lent me a couple of vinyls, and in there was something called Tribute. A tribute to someone called Randy Rhoads. I listened to this, I was captivated. I had no idea who Randy Rhoads was. I wasn't even a musician yet. And I had no idea why there was a tribute. Remember also, there was no internet. I couldn't Google this shit. So finally, people told me this story, and I actually got this. I got the whole backstory, right? So I think the version of Mr. Crowley on this album is probably one of my favorite metal tracks of all time. I think everything Randy Rhoads ever did was absolutely next level. Number 3, end of 1993. I'm 15 years old. I'm working a holiday job in a really dodgy part of Johannesburg. If you know Johannesburg, you'll know that saying a dodgy part of Johannesburg is a really significant thing to say, right? So I'm working at a liquor store, go figure. Anyway, I delivered beer to a pub, and there was a seriously cool dude who wanted to play tape exchange with me. He gave me something called the Crimson Idol. I listened to a song called Chainsaw Charlie, and I became obsessed with this album. I became obsessed with this band. So Wasp today, my favorite band. Most people don't know that. Most people think Slayer is my favorite band, and we'll talk about that. Blackie Lawless, my favorite singer of all time, and I say singer. People lump Wasp with the LA glam scene, and somebody who's a huge Motley Crue fan, I can tell you, fucking Wasp is not glam. It's like saying Alice in Chains is grunge, right? This is fucking metal. Now, if I move to number 4, this is probably more the kind of thing that you would expect to see in a list from a vocalist who does extreme metal. Back in 1993, a friend of mine just got back from London, and he had a CD sampler, and there was this track called Davidian, right? My God, my fucking head exploded. So I said, dude, what the fuck is this? How do you even make music like this? I think at this time I was listening to Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, little bit of heavier stuff like Megadeth and a bit of Sepultura. But this was different. This shit connected with me on an utterly primal level. So not long after this, I formed my own band, and I've always wanted the same anger and the same rage that Burn My Eyes has to come through in my music. So I really do hope we get that. I can't just leave it at those 4. I have to have one more, and let's call it 4.2, which means I'm not really cheating. And after all, I play in an industrial metal band, so I have to have some industrial metal in here. In 1994, I heard a band called White Zombie covering a song called Children of the Grave on an album called Nativity in Black. I was so fucking blown away. I had money saved up to go watch Deep Purple, and I bought an album called L'Exorcisto Devil Music Volume 1 with that money. I think you need to know this is a pretty fucking big deal. Taking Deep Purple ticket money to buy a CD is pretty deep commitment, right? I thought I reached a whole new level of amazing with L'Exorcisto Devil Music, but in 1995, Astro Creep 2000 came out. In my mind, Astro Creep's still the best thing Rob Zombie ever did, and I'm including his movies, his solo stuff. I love his solo albums, but Astro Creep is something else. I think Astro Creep is the number one reason that Chaos Doctrine plays industrial metal today. Now, if that was enough for you, I will be fading to black in a moment, my top 4 plus 1. And I'm going to pretend I'm closing off this video. So thank you for watching. This is Dr. D. If you haven't had enough, stick around. I've got deep feelings of betrayal and guilt with having just a couple of albums listed here, so I have to share a couple more. So I'm going to put them on the screen so you don't have to look at me. Let me show you just the whole strip. So let's start on the left, the obvious classics. I don't think I have to tell you anything about Black Sabbath's debut. I don't have to tell you anything about Rainbow Rising. Painkiller, 1992. A friend of mine brings a cassette to school and says, you should probably listen to this. And that fucking intro, best drum intro ever in metal in my mind. Fastest thing I had heard at that time. Blew me away. I think Painkiller is a fantastic thrash metal record. In the middle there, top. Some people call it rock, some people call it glam. Can call it metal, who the fuck cares? I think Use Your Illusion is an absolute masterpiece. Both of them, but I prefer the yellow one. In 1992, this was part of my everyday, along with LA Guns' self-titled debut. You'll see Motley Crue's 1994 album on there. It has a very, very special place to me. It's the only album that doesn't have Vince Neil's vocals on it, and it's also, in my mind, pretty much the heaviest fucking thing Motley Crue ever did. Motley Crue is special to me. Kickstart My Heart is the first real metal song I ever heard, probably in 1991, probably on some mixtape or copy, something. And Nikki Sixx is without a doubt the primary reason that I'm a musician, that I'm covered in fucking tattoos, and I love their classics. But this album, oh my fucking god, it is heavy, it fucks me up every time. 3 more records. I call it, if you don't know, fucking find out. Nephilim Zune, an absolute fucking masterpiece. It's the only thing they ever did that sounds like this. It's the only thing called goth metal I ever gave a shit about. It is mentally fucking punishing. Paradise Lost, Draconian Times, timeless classic from 1996. If you've never fucking heard the band, check it out. And this the band has done a million different things, and this one just blows my mind every time. And then I had to put A Great Mass by Septic Flesh on there. Not only because the band influences us as Chaos Doctrine from a symphonic and fucking heavy metal point of view, but also because Spiros Antoniou is without a doubt my favorite death metal vocalist. If I could growl like that fucker, I would be happy. And then a bit more industrial, right? So some of the things that influence us as a band would include Ministry's The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, Pain's Nothing Remains the Same, because Peter Tatrin, right? And then the very fucking heavy offering from an electro band called Cyclone 9 called We the Fallen. So these are just fucking heavy, mind-blowing industrial. And then finally, some of the albums you would probably have thought would be on here, right? On my top 4, before I started cheating, these are probably the things you would expect to see here. For me, Seasons in the Abyss is probably the best Slayer album ever. It's not my favorite Slayer album. My favorite Slayer album is probably Divine Intervention, but Seasons in the Abyss is a perfect album, cover to cover. It's got everything. It's got fucking melody, it's got speed, it's got hate. And to me, it includes elements of everything Slayer did before and elements of everything Slayer did after. Till today, it continues to blow my mind. Till today, it makes me want to kill just masses of people. Peace Sells, but who's buying? I think Rust in Peace is probably my favorite Megadeth album, but Peace Sells is heavy and it's dark. And it's probably the closest thing to Slayer that Megadeth ever did, which is part of why I love it so much. It is evil, it is nasty. A vulgar display of power. Again, I'm taking you back to 1993. I was 15 years old. Fucking Hostile was playing on tape in my bedroom, and my mom walked in and my mom walked out. That album, I don't think I need to tell you about it. Vulgar Display of Power is a fucking cover to cover again, absolute beast of an album. And then something else I wanted to include, Something Wicked This Way Comes. If you don't know Iced Earth and you want to check them out, this is probably the album to check out. It's a perfect merge of power metal and thrash metal. It is angry, it's got ridiculous riffs, it's got ridiculous songs. It is fucking incredible, and to me it belongs on the list with these albums. So that was me again, and this time I'm really done. Thank you for watching. Thank you for indulging my clear disregard for rules. Go check out all of these albums, and go check out fucking Chaos Doctrine.